been like part of the family. It's been part of the furniture. They've always been there. I started doing my own little campaign, so I put flyers out, started talking to parents.
Nice, yeah.
And I think that's how I ended up. I think that's how I got spotted. That you know what, she's doing her own political campaign. If you set a good example, and then that example would lead.
You mentioned that there's not many females in politics. How does it feel to enter that space? Welcome everybody to the second episode of the ACP Podcast. Today we have our very own local councillor, Councillor Shabrana Hussain. How are you feeling? You excited to be on the podcast today?
Yes, excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so just for those people who haven't heard about you, haven't come across you before, would you like to say a bit about who you are and what you do? I know that kind of the title gives it away, but it's all yours.
Right. Hi, hello everyone, and thank you for having me. I'm your local councillor for Sparkbrook and Borstal Heath. I was elected in, this is going to be fun now, isn't it? I was first officially elected in 2016. I was in Springfield for 2 years, and then I came to Sparkbrook in 2018, and then just recently got elected in 2022, so I've got another 4-year term.
Okay, so the last elections were quite recent, are they?
Yes, and in Birmingham we have them every 4 years.
Every 4 years, okay. What inspired you to want to become a councillor in the first place?
I would put it down to, we don't have many female women activists or within the council, or any women in hijabs or any Asian women. So I was more of an activist in the community, and everybody says, you do everything we do, why don't you become a councillor? I says, no, that's not me, I'm not a councillor and I'm not doing it. But it ended up being exactly what I do anyway. I want the best services for my area and for the people of Sparkbrook.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned that there's not many females in politics. How does it feel to enter that space?
When I was first elected, I felt like I was surrounded by men.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I had to have my husband as a chaperone.
Okay.
I was like, go get to you, like. But we have progressed, and the party that I represent, I don't know if I should really talk about what party I'm from, but the party that I represent, we have inequalities. So we have got more women now, and we've got a lot more women in the cabinet than we have in the men. So our party does recognise a lot of the women. And recently with these 22 elections, we've got a lot more women.
Okay, that's good to hear.
So it's we've got a little girl bond.
yeah, it seems like it's quite a very busy job as well. Would you talk a bit about what the day-to-day responsibilities are of a councillor?
Well, technically, I'm only supposed to be a part-timer.
Okay.
But
so is it a part-time job then?
It is a part-time job, and other people do have second and third jobs. I don't, but this is like a full-time job for me because I find it's very demanding. There's so many issues and concerns that people have, and since we've come from the pandemic and just literally going digital overnight, a lot of people are struggling at that. And I still feel as though, even though we talk about digital and get people moving and IT and social skills, mobile phones, I still feel as though there is a lot of community out there that we still can't reach.
Okay.
So I feel as though I need to dig a bit more deeper and get to them. But the general issues we'll probably have is council tax issues. We're having a lot of people who are struggling to pay their council tax at the moment, and now the bills are going up again. So a lot of that's the high I have received, and housing.
Okay, sounds like quite a challenging role.
Yes, we don't have enough housing, and people are living in quite poor conditions, overcrowded, and it's just if I always believe if this house is not good enough for you to live in, we shouldn't give it to anybody else to live in.
Okay. And you are the local councillor for ACP, and it's quite nice because you yourself are quite passionate about helping the community. That's what ACP stands for, giving back to their own community. What was kind of the first time you came across ACP, and how did you hear about them? It might have been a long time ago.
Oh God, I don't, ACP has just been like part of the family. It's been part of the furniture. They've always been there. I can't remember how. Probably I must have met Muhammad Shafiq at a governor's meeting where I was at a parents' governor, and then eventually I find out because oh my God, this is ACP, and that's how I got to know ACP, and then find out what they started to do and how they started to do, and I was just a parent who took my kids to school, and I was quite happy with the way things were done at the school, so therefore I fought an election. There was a parent governor who was already at that school that has been there for many moons, and nobody's ever challenged him, and then I started doing my own little campaign. So I put flyers out, started talking to parents.
Nice, yeah.
And I think that's how I ended up. I think that's how I got spotted. That she's doing her own political campaign to get into a school governing body. That was just a school governing body because I didn't like the way And that's what they says, you know what, she'll be good into the council. So yeah,
Okay,
so I
nice.
think I kind of got.
So did you grow up around here, or you've been here? How
No,
long?
I've been in Birmingham for 20 years now.
20 years. Okay. Where are you originally from?
Ah, Bradford, of course. I
Bradford.
love Bradford. So being here 20 years, 12, 13 years, I think we'll be living in Sparkbrook.
Okay. So you know about an ACP for a long time now.
ACPs.
What was your first sort of perception about the organisation?
It's the one-stop shop. Does that sum everything in? I'll elaborate. It's the one place you would go for any issues you have. So if you're struggling with anything, so to fill an application form out, you don't know if you're on the right benefits. Do you qualify? If you're struggling, you've got stuff with you're struggling with your debt, you're struggling with your health. It's everything that they do, and then apart from that side, they've got a lot of community groups or get people involved, because like when I moved to Birmingham, I didn't know many people here, so I got to know, coming to some of the groups here, I got to know some of the people from the bike group, because I was part of the bike group, I was part of the running group. I know you've got a book club. I'd love to be part of the Time to Read a Book, but yes, but that's on my to-do list eventually.
Yeah, so it's quite a diverse set of services they offer, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can do it, and then the yoga was brilliant. I mean,
did you try that one?
Oh yes, everybody says to me, yoga isn't something physical like running in the park. Yoga is more like, I know they talk about health, mind and breathing. It actually, it puts you in that zone for that 45 minutes to 1 hour in that zone. And it's just, you have to concentrate. Because you try sitting in a quiet room and your brain's...
it's all linked up, isn't it?
Yeah, and there you have to actually stay present in that room and in that time, which is really good. And it did help that. I'd like to do it again, but I need to carry on practicing it. But I will.
Yeah.
But it did help with my day to day, just generally when things got a bit too much, you just stop, take time out, just go and breathe, and it worked.
It's quite similar to like kind of meditation like that. I know that's quite a big thing coming in now.
It is
as well.
Really and I do recommend yoga.
Yeah, especially because like I think it comes up in like every podcast we do about everyone's attention span going because of social media, just scrolling with it. I think yoga and meditation, something that can be good to work on that.
For 10 minutes, 15 minutes, time out, switch off, put your devices on silent, do not disturb or whatever, and then you're there, and that's your time. Because we lead really hectic lifestyles, because majority of our stuff, most of my work is either face-to-face, dealing with people face-to-face, and then the issues, some of the stories that you hear, you just heart actually goes out to them, and then how do you cope with that? And then demanding. So, for example, I've been out all day today talking to clients, going to places, networking, get to know what's going on in the area. I have to know. Well, no, I don't have to know, but I need to know what goes on, who is who, what's what, how I can put these two services together. How would this going to benefit my community, my people? So it's constantly on the go, and then it's like I have to remember to turn the off button on my brain before I go to bed. And it's like, oh my God, I forgot to do this. I should have done this. I should have done that. It's that managing. How do you need to manage? And then, like, if I've spent a whole day out today in the ward, and then therefore I've got a backlog of emails that I need to pick up on. So then it's that juggling act, and then
a lot of responsibilities to it.
Yeah, and I don't know why they call us part-timers.
Yeah, it sounds like a full-time, more than full-time, isn't it?
I mean, it depends because how much effort you put into it as well, because like it says, there's lots of community groups, and trying to put everybody together and how we can all work. Like ACP are probably doing alcohol, drugs support, health and wellbeing walks, and then there's other community groups down the road that are doing other things. So then how can we all work together? And I think I feel as though we're all struggling. We don't know what other people are doing. It's nice to have a platform where everything is in one place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and in terms of like your role as councillor, because I assume because ACP is quite a big organisation within this area, what is your role and relationship with them, and what sort of things do you do to kind of bridge the gap between the community and the organisation?
Well, there are some, like for example, filling up application forms and stuff, because we're always told that we're not already allowed to fill application forms in. So if they need support, or what are they getting the right support, you've got specialists who actually come into ACP, you've got people with debt advice, you've got people who fill application forms in, you've got all this support, a specialist support who actually come into ACP. So I just tend to guide them that way, and they usually guide them my way. So we have a two-way communication. Some of them will come my way from me, and some of them will come to me, and we just support. And it's just all supporting everybody and how we can support the people for their better. Yeah,
okay, that sounds good. And how important do you think the role of a councillor is to allow these sort of organisations, charities to flourish?
It's really important, because I'm Birmingham City Councillor, so even though I represent this ward,
Yeah.
everything else that goes on within the council
Hmm.
and the council's priorities, and at the moment, digital inclusion is one of them at the moment. How do we get that out to the inner communities?
Yeah.
I mean, I think majority of our people, like I said, in COVID, to get the message out and try and get people vaccinated and stuff. And then there was all these antiviral videos going
Yeah.
around, and how will we spread that clear message? We couldn't turn on people's doorsteps, and some of the phone numbers weren't working. So, and the only media platform that we had was WhatsApp. So
Yeah.
we started doing videos, and we started doing bilingual languages, different languages, telling them the importance, and that's how we kind of got to communicate with people. And now I'm just thinking, how do we move forward?
Hmm.
Is that
Yeah.
and that's the support we're trying to get, is get everybody to working together, and we're all on the right. Everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, it was something Naeem Qureshi was actually talking about on the last podcast, all about collaboration, how important it is for everyone to integrate it together as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because like we've got a lot of community groups who do really good stuff, and all the support that they do for everybody, but they're all in silos.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the groups. I know most of them, and then some of them are popping up. But then, how do I collaborate that in one and let
Exactly.
everybody
Yeah.
know? It's I call it a mapping exercise,
Yeah.
and I'm working on it. I'll
Yeah.
get there
Yeah.
eventually.
And I'm sure, because like as the local councillor, you speak to people like even on a daily basis in the area. What's the general consensus and perception of ACP from the actual community? Is it something, an organisation they appreciate or they're very aware of?
It's the heart of the community.
Yeah. Okay.
That sums it up.
Yeah. So, what sort of values do you think Ashiana has?
It respects everybody that walks in through that door, because whoever walks in through ACP doors
Yeah.
isn't here because they've got everything. They're here because they need support. And how do you access that support? I've noticed in the community we've got people who are struggling in really poor, bad conditions, but their pride or their dignity gets in the way, because I'm not going to go to a food bank. I'm not going to go ask for help.
Yeah.
And they get into a state of crisis wherein they're in really bad crisis. That's when they reach out to me. But I said, you could have avoided all this. For example, with your council tax bills, you've not paid, and then the debt collectors are here, and then that £30 or £50 charge is just doubled to hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's the intervention. So we're trying to intervene now, tell them that this is what we can provide for you, so you don't get to crisis point.
Yeah.
And that's what ACP tends to do with anybody who walks in through the doors.
Yeah, it's really quite helpful as a councillor as well. You have an organisation like this in the area so that you can kind of refer people and work alongside as well.
Yeah, so I help as much as I can, and then I do tell them to come here to see if there's any extras that they can get from here as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I know ACP are very passionate about helping the community, and you are as well. What motivates people like you to want to give back and do so much good?
Well, I always think that if you set a good example, and then that example would lead. So, like, for example, I know one of the main issues that we have in our streets, in our area, is cleaner streets.
Yeah.
So we have, on my road, I used to have every month before COVID came along, we used to have a community litter pick. So everybody on the street, all the street kids used to just come out. We used to just do our own community litter pick, and I usually just treat them with a little goodie bag.
Yeah.
And then just before Eid or Ramadan time or Eid times, we will do an Eid one or a Ramadan. So we'll just incorporate what's going on around the area and get. So I feel as though if you make a good example, that example will follow. Then if I champion my road, hopefully I can get all the other streets to champion their roads, and then it'll be a lot cleaner. And we need to take pride in our area.
Yeah, exactly. And was anyone growing up maybe you looked up to and they kind of led by example, like you said, that
well, I did know when in Small Heath we had a clean Moledina.
Okay.
It was his legacy, and from there on we brought it back in. Then we were part of when we had community forums and community chests, and we had community groups. So we had about 10 groups, all doing their own little thing, and then we'd all get together at Farm Park, which was coordinated by ACP.
Okay.
And then we'd have a community event in the park, and then we had tug of war, and we got a couple of schools involved as well. So it was exciting, and I feel as though that community element has kind of slipped. And then, like I said, with COVID and trying to get back to normality, I know COVID has played a huge part of our lives, and now we need to overcome that and then get the communities back together and let's start doing things.
Yeah, and how were things for you during COVID? How did you manage to still serve the community?
Oh God, that was really tricky at first because literally overnight we had to go from face to face to Teams.
Yeah.
I was like, what is
Yeah.
Teams? I can't live without Teams now.
Yeah, Zoom and
But
Teams became famous over
yeah,
COVID.
what is that? What was it? How do you navigate? How nothing. Then I had to literally. I remember going into the council house, and I met a couple of friends because they we're all moving on to Teams. I says, yeah, but what do I do? So they stay here. So we did a demo. There was three of us. I remember the exact three councils that were in there. We said, let's just do a quick demo. And I still got it actually now in somewhere in my log calls. We did a quick demo of how to use Teams. And I was like, oh my God, that's okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
And now it's just, I started doing my advice surgeries on Teams. So there was a link that everybody just have to click onto it and it'll just bring me straight to it. And it was, I was quite wary at first. I was like, oh, okay, but it's good. Then I kind of started talking to people about the names and addresses, started dealing with all the issues and cases that I picked up. And I can see everybody in the waiting room. So I was just like, okay, I can't take too long because I've already got somebody in the waiting room. And that was quite nice to see. I had people logging in and using devices. I remember the very first time I did my war tasking meeting. It was literally a blank screen.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had Kay and somebody else from the tech team just to make sure everything was logged and live. But that's about it. I didn't know anything else. So I did try emphasizing people that if they can write their name into the log, so I can see at least there's somebody. So I didn't know who I was talking to. I didn't know how many people. Yeah. Usually in our ward forums, we normally get about 20, 30 people, depending, and then depending on what issues it is, I've got a number or a few less people would turn up. This way I was just talking to her, and I just had my laptop on. She says, yeah, you're good to go live. So I had my little, my notes and my agenda and everything, just reading it. And I didn't know if I was talking to, if I had anybody in the room, or am I talking to myself? Yeah. I was like, that, yeah, but we have progressed now. Teams has progressed now. Yeah. So now, and then as we moved along, there was 3 little categories. So if somebody wrote a chat, or you can publish it, you can reply back, or you can just delete it if it was something not appropriate. But now it's just a normal platform now. Yeah. We kind of get used to it. We're all there. I can see everybody. Exactly, we can all have a chat. And now I'm so glad we've gone back to face-to-face. But I have struggled. I have noticed that those people that did attend the Teams meeting, we had a lot more people turning up online than we do face-to-face.
Okay. So a lot more people. Do you think that was because of COVID times, or do you think that was specifically because
probably most likely to do with COVID time, because like the schools and everything was shut, everything at the first, at the beginning bit when everything was literally standstill. I think we did get a lot more people coming, and an online platform worked really well.
Yeah, especially because it's very like an uncertain time, so people want answers, and it's probably quite hard because sometimes you can't give answers because you don't know them yourself.
But we did have public health. So most of every meeting, we always had public health updates. Okay. So we always had Justin Varley from our public health team always giving us, if we couldn't attend, somebody from him, or a briefing that he wanted us to share out. So we got a lot of briefings, and we did share a lot of messages out and letting everybody know. And then it was quite nice to see these local mosques popping up with being COVID test centres. So it was one of those weird, surreal times. I can't believe I actually got past it.
Yeah, it feels like it was like a kind of story that happened, and we didn't really live through it. It just passed through, isn't it? So just going back onto ACP and like link it to like COVID times, we can kind of appreciate how good these organizations work face to face, especially. How do you think the community would look without such organizations? How different would it be?
Well, I think ACP and other local community groups within the ward stepped up really good. They knew, they obviously they had the clientele lists, and they knew which people were the vulnerable people who needed food parcels. I did try my best to go and deliver some of the food parcels, but it was really, it was just like knock door, run sort of thing. You run a mile. Are you all right? Do you need anything? Send me a text message. The WhatsApp played a huge part because it was a lifeline for a lot of people. I'm going out to Asda, waiting 4 hours in the bloody queue trying to get in, and then you're limited to pick up how much stuff you're allowed to get. But if you're picking up for your neighbour and for yourself and 2 other neighbours, you wouldn't be able to. So it was just a juggling act, and then and I feel as though the community really came together, and we would support each other a lot. And I feel as though now that we've gone back to our hectic, social, busy lifestyles again, I feel as though that element is kind of slipping away again, because we've gone back to normality, back to work, back to everything else. And I feel as though I won't more. That's why I'm thinking it's best if we start doing a lot more community engagements, holding more events, and just generally be more with everyone.
Yeah, and it was kind of like in that time, it stopped everyone going like 100 miles per hour with their work, and it forced everyone just to put everything down. And some people probably got bored as well because they hadn't got much to do.
Oh, I think I'm probably the only odd one that kind of enjoyed the lockdown.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people that do enjoy it, but there's a lot of people who are just like, what do I do as well?
Oh no, I enjoyed it because you had your 1 hour allowance to go out for your walk and exercise. So with that 1 hour, we utilised it. We played football with the kids for half an hour. So we were very active. So we played football for half an hour, then we all did our run and exercise and everything. And then we walked to our local park, Ackers, loved it. Walked it there, walked it back. That was our daily routine. And then we did a bit of activities with the family. And I feel as though we spent a good time together as a family. Together. But then I feel as though we've kind of, you don't get that. But then on the flip side, I know there's families out there that were stuck in a home, which they were the most vulnerable people. And so I was like thinking it played two ways. So it was, and then trying to reach those people and how do you support them? And if you're stuck in a house or in an abusive home, 24 hours
you can't escape as well.
You can't escape. And I did feel I struggled for the vulnerable people and I struggled for the youth. Because you're one of them. You can tell me, well, I'll interview you now.
My first year of university was online because of it.
Yeah, that's what I say. So it's that effect that it had happened, and like on our GCSE students who didn't get the grades that they wanted, they get the proper the element that they were supposed to get. So it's like it says, okay, I was luckily in a way because I kind of got to spend good time with my family, but then I was struggling out there because I know there's vulnerable people out there and I can't get to them. So it was bittersweet sort of victory, not victory. I don't know even what you want to call it, but yeah, we all survived.
Yeah, we all came out the other end of it. It's like, so yeah, just finally, is there a sort of message that you would like to give out to the ACP community and the local community in general?
You know where we are? No, like I said, ACP is brilliant. It's got all the services you need. So if you are struggling, either get in touch with me or pop down to ACP.
Yeah, brilliant. It's been great speaking to you. Did you enjoy the time on the podcast?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's gone quite quick as well. Yeah,
it was very quick.
Yeah.
And I always need to remember I need to slow down because I always tend to feel as though I always talk too fast.
Yeah, no, I think it's perfect. Okay.
I hope you understood what I was saying.
Yeah, I think the message got across and everyone kind of understands how important the role of a counsellor is, as well as how it integrates all the ACP and how it all comes together as well.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, brilliant. Thanks everyone for watching, and make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.